Welcome to Just Asia, AHRC TV's weekly human rights program. These are the headlines. Sri Lanka ranks second best place in Asia for children. Pregnant Muslim woman burnt alive for marrying Dalit man in India. 40 homes demolished in India's Madhya Pradesh. Christian sanitation worker dies after doctors refuse treatment in Pakistan. Indonesian authorities close Ahmadi mosque during Ramadan. Bangladeshi families speak out during week of the disappeared. 4 urgent appeals from India and Sri Lanka. Welcome to AHRC TV's Just Asia. I'm Annie Lin. This week, Just Asia begins with a report titled Stolen Childhoods by Save the Children in Sri Lanka. Launched on June 1st, the report exposed a unique index presenting the major reasons why childhood comes to an early end. Sri Lanka is ranked as the 61st best country in the world for children to grow up in and the second best place in Asia, outperforming neighbours India, Bangladesh and Myanmar. Though the report presents a positive outlook regarding Sri Lanka's children, Save the Children Sri Lanka is concerned that more than 1 million children in the country are still being denied their right to complete a happy and fulfilling childhood. This is largely due to the number of Sri Lankan parents who migrate to other countries for employment, leaving their children behind. The report's End of Childhood Index focuses on a set of life-changing events that disrupt childhood. The indicators include under 5 mortality, malnutrition that stunts growth, out-of-school children, child labor, early marriage, adolescent births, displacement by conflict, and child homicide. The report ranks 172 countries and shows which countries are succeeding and failing to provide conditions that nurture and protect their children. In line with its Every Last Child campaign, Save the Children is calling on the Sri Lankan government to ensure the protection and well-being of children whose parents have migrated abroad to find work. It is also urging the relevant bodies to strengthen the existing child protection mechanisms and implement them properly to create a healthy environment for children to grow up in. A brutal honor killing in Karnataka, India, saw a 20-year-old Muslim woman burned alive on June 3rd. The woman had eloped with a Dalit man in January. She had returned to her family recently, hoping her pregnancy would change their attitude. Instead, they brutally assaulted her husband and set her on fire. No one came forward to help her and she died of her wounds. The woman's mother, brother, sister and father-in-law have been arrested. In other Indian news, 40 homes were callously demolished in Chhipiya village, Madhya Pradesh on June 3rd. Residents were told that their lease documents had been cancelled in 2006 to 2007, of which no notice was previously given. The homes were destroyed even as the sub-divisional magistrate had promised to halt the demolition in a meeting with the affected families on the evening of June 2nd. The local administration in Jabalpur of Veera district had initially served an eviction notice to 150 Adivasi and Dalit families on May 31st, giving them a mere 3 days to evict or face demolitions. In response to the eviction notice, the affected residents rushed to the local authorities and pleaded that the demolitions would violate their rights. It would also leave them vulnerable to nature with the imminent onset of the monsoon and temperatures over 45 degrees Celsius. Shocked at the authorities' betrayal, the affected residents approached the High Court of Madhya Pradesh, Jabalpur, which stayed the demolition drive. The court slammed the administration for giving a mere 3 days eviction notice. The judge ordered the district collector to tell the court why no action was taken on lease applications given by the residents within 15 days. Moving to Pakistan, a Christian sanitation worker died on June 1st after Muslim doctors refused to treat him for poisonous gas he inhaled in a sewer. Doctors at the public civil hospital refused to treat 20-year-old Irfan Mashi of Umarkot city, Sindh province, saying they did not want to touch the sewage-covered worker during the Islamic month of Ramadan. Irfan had entered a deep manhole to clear a sewage line but smelled poisonous gas and called out for help. Irfan's co-workers did not have the equipment to pull him out, so another worker descended into the manhole to rescue him. However, both men inhaled the fumes and fainted. 2 other Christian sanitary workers Files Mashi and Shaukat Mashi went after them, but they also fainted. Ethan died hours later in the government hospital in front of doctors reluctant to treat him. Christian sanitation workers face extremely dangerous work conditions. When sewage lines get clogged, these workers dive 30 to 50 feet below ground into manholes filled with toxic water without any protective gear. Discriminated against for their religion, Christians are forced to do sanitation work in Pakistan. Many government hospitals reserve sanitation posts for non-Muslims. A job advertisement by the Punjab Institute of Cardiology looking for only non-Muslims belonging to minority groups for sanitation work had drawn much criticism and media coverage, including by BBC Urdu. Many government institutions offer only low-skilled jobs as part of the 5% quota of job reservations for minorities. Amidst Ramadan worship and fasting in Indonesia, the Depok city government forcibly closed and sealed off the Al-Hidayah Mosque belonging to the local Ahmadiyya community on June 3rd. Without due process, the government issued a controversial policy to permanently prohibit local Ahmadiyya congregations and their activities in the Al-Hidayah Mosque. While the National Police had recently reminded citizens to respect freedom of religion and to be tolerant in the media, June 3rd to 4th saw officers in the Depok Police Resort and the Civil Service Police Unit forcibly enter and search the mosque, seizing CCTVs and other items inside the mosque. One of the Ahmadi congregants was also arrested and brought to the police office. He was released shortly after due to lobbying by a public lawyer. Demands for information of disappeared victims continue in Bangladesh. The families of the disappeared victims came to the streets during the week of the disappeared throughout the country. There have been hundreds of disappearances in the last 8 years, even as the incumbent government continues committing this crime against humanity. Minor children whose fathers were disappeared by the law enforcement agencies years ago, wives who are still waiting for the disappeared husbands, mothers who worry about their sons' whereabouts, all of them took to the streets in Bangladesh's capital, Dhaka. In front of the National Press Club, they gathered with banners and placards seeking the return of their loved ones. Members of civil society and human rights defenders also raised their voice together with the family members. Defying intimidation by law enforcement agencies, rallies and press conferences were held in different districts across the country. In the northern city of Rajshahi, police prevented families from protesting in the streets. Families and activists then gathered at a private place to discuss their plight. Finally, the Urgent Appeals Weekly features 4 cases from India and Sri Lanka. In Meghalaya, India, community groups are opposing any revival of uranium mining by the government, which poses severe environmental and health risks. The groups are also calling on the authorities to adequately repair the concrete tanks placed above the open uranium pits. In Sri Lanka, there have been 3 cases of illegal arrest, resulting in all the victims being produced before the Teledenia Magistrates Court on fabricated charges by police officers. The victims are Mr. Cyril Sandanaraja, Mr. Anthony Sami Kalistis, and Mr. Muthuswamy Satgunam. That is all for this episode of Just Asia. For more on these and other issues, please visit www.humanrights.asia or www.alrc.asia/justasia. Thank you for watching and see you next week.